Welcome to Reset to Healthier Relationships, Sunday night at 9. Welcome, queens and kings, to our space where we've created with love, care, and truth for men and women to breathe, reflect, and grow. Tonight's topic cuts deep. Self-sabotage in love. Are we creating our own headaches in relationships? Question mark. Now, that question isn't meant to shame, it's meant to free us because the reality is sometimes the pain we feel in relationships isn't always coming from someone else, it's coming from within. It's the echoes of old wounds, the stories we've been told about our the armor we wear that keeps love at arm's length. But queens and kings, tonight we're laying those pieces to understand. Now, before we get started and dive a little deeper into our topic for tonight, I'm gonna allow Mr. Carpenter to tell us a little bit about himself and his background.
Okay, before we get too far going, let me explain. In our area, we having a severe storm right now. So if we lose in and out, we'll try to get it back. Okay, that's beyond our control. So if the internet gets a little dicey, that's what's going on. Like I'm Rufus Carpenter. Most of you know me as Coach Rufus, but my background is simple. I came from a large family of 14, never had anything, married 27 years. Did time in the military, and one of my jobs in the military was human and race relation leader, who had the responsibility of dealing with any kind of relationship or racial problems within our unit. And I did a good job with that. So here tonight representing the males. Now, the background of Sunday Night at 9 is a container of it's set up, the framework is set up where it's like 20 of your girlfriends are in your living room and you're talking about relationship topics. It's 9 o'clock. Kids are in bed. You're relaxed. You sitting back from a long week, and now you're just relaxing. You might have a glass or two of wine, and you and your girlfriends are talking about relationships. And this is a safe place. You're being open. You're being honest. You're unburdening yourself. You're talking about your challenges as well as your breakthrough. And it's a sisterhood where the sister beside you, she may be going through some of the same things you went through that already mastered, but she just don't know. And you think she's doing well. It's just that she's dressing herself up a little better than you do with the situation, but she's struggling. So when you unburden yourself and hear yourself say it, it gives you release and give her a chance to realize if this sister can do it, I can do it too. So tonight's a great topic. And I know tonight we're going to have some concerns because some of us can identify very personally with tonight's topic. So it's going to be an interesting night. I'm looking forward to your comments. So please jump in and get in where you fit in. Glenda?
Okay. Now, I do apologize. I didn't know that the intro was choppy, but we are having a severe thunderstorm in our area at this present time. But just in case you didn't hear everything, the topic for tonight is self-sabotage in love. Are we creating our own headaches in relationships? Question mark. Now, the question isn't meant to shame, it's meant to free us because the reality is sometimes the pain we feel in relationships isn't always coming from someone else. It's coming from within. It's the echoes of old wounds, the stories we've been told about our worth, the armor we wear that keeps love at arm's length. But kings and queens, tonight we're laying those pieces on the table not to judge, but to understand. Now, I want to kick off with our first topic for our first example for tonight, the too good to be true exit.
Wait, Wait, time out before you do all that. You moving kind of fast with this one. This one is something that we all can relate to. And some of
Yeah,
us,
that's why I want to kick off with an example first.
yeah,
Maybe they,
wait, before we do that, because some of us, we can come right out of the riff and talk about this one. Because some
okay,
of us identify with this one personally. And if I
okay.
was in church tonight, I wouldn't get too many amens on this one, because this is one of those because a lot of us, our surface opportunity is that we don't feel we don't sometimes we don't feel we measure up ourselves. So when we don't feel we measure up, we sabotage our own self in relationships. Hey, Dr. Liz, how you doing? Glad to see you. And matter of fact, she can attest. One of these things we have is trauma. And sometimes our trauma won't let us be in a relationship with anybody. We self-sabotage ourselves. So tonight is a major topic that we need to deal with. And some of us can be freed tonight just by opening up and letting go. Because the safety we think we find by being by ourselves is really a false bottom. So we're dealing with two kind of problems here. We're dealing with a secret problem. The secret problem is what I feel inside of myself about this topic. I feel I'm not good enough. I feel I shouldn't be loved. I feel I can't be loved. I feel there's nobody out there that accept me or want me. So I'm going to be by myself anyway, so I'm going to push everybody back. That's my secret problem. Now, my surface problem, that first thing there is, hey, I gotta fight for love. Love never come easy. I gotta win it. I gotta get out there and fight in this arena and dating and mating and all this kind of stuff. So I want us to make sure that tonight we can talk our truths. We can open up. I see some people smiling, but you already know what I'm talking about. All right, now, Glenda, anybody want to comment before we go into this? Anybody want to share something coming out the gate and give us some type of perspective on how you feel about this, or how have you dealt with this in the past, and how have you seen this operated in your life or somebody you know life?
I'll jump in. Hey, how you doing? Hello.
Hey,
Amazing topic. And thank you for having this space for everybody to come out and speak. I think what you just said, Rufus, about trauma, I think that is huge, because it's like two broken eggs trying to make a healthy omelet. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's huge there. So yeah, I'm interested in the topic tonight, and I just can't wait to be a part of it. So thank you.
awesome. Any more comments about the night topic before we jump in? Because we don't have much on our end, because we didn't want to get too much scripted, because we wanted this to be something that everybody can unburden themselves and let it out. So there's not going to be much from our end, but we hope that you jump in with both feet and can really let it go, okay? Because this is healing here tonight. Like Glenda said, this is not to shame anybody. This is your chance to unburden yourself and be healed, okay? Go ahead, Glenda.
All right, the first example for tonight is the too good to be true exit. Jasmine had never been loved gently. So when a man entered her life who adored her, softens and strength, she found herself picking fights over little things. One night, without warning, she ended it. He would have left eventually, she told herself, but deep down, she feared the unfamiliar safety of love.
This is an interesting one right out the gate, y'all.
Would
Who
you like me to
wants?
read it again?
Yeah, because
One more
it's a lot here. Go ahead.
Okay.
One more time.
Okay. The too good to be true exit. Jasmine had never been loved gently. So when a man entered her life who adored her strength and softness, she found herself picking fights over little things. One night, without warning, she ended it. He would have left eventually, she told herself. But deep down, she feared the unfamiliar safety of love.
Any comments on that before we jump in? Audience, any comments on that before we jump in, audience? Any comments on this one, audience? And hey, how is that? I think Laura just came on. Hey, Laura, it's been a minute. I think that's her. Okay. But yeah, this is an interesting one. No one never loved, she felt she never been loved genuinely. And right now she has a problem because, and it's labeled too good to be true exit. But we know what the real deal is here, don't we? Anybody want to comment from the audience before we jump in? Okay, then Glenda, you want to jump in, and you me jump in first?
You go ahead. You can kick us off.
This one is the first thing that happens. This is one of those secret things. This is one of those secret problems we have. This right here is the stories that we tell ourselves. This is the stuff that's going on in our own head. This is the story we tell ourselves and convince ourselves, and we believe it so much that we actually push the person away. Because we think we're protecting our heart, we think we're protecting our love, we think we're protecting our resources, and all we're doing is guaranteeing that it's going to be the same status quo. These patterns are terrible. How do we disrupt and change these patterns is a question for the night, more so than being loved genuinely. How do we change these patterns of behavior? Is it self-care? Is it professional help? Is it talking to your girlfriends? Is it talking to the sisters? Is it being in a form like we're here right now? How do we change it? How do we fix that? Because I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it. As a matter of fact, there's been times when I've told myself, as a matter of fact, I've told myself I'm not even going to talk to her. Because I look at her and look at me, my secret self saying, Rufus, you know you don't add up. Let it go. Keep moving. Keep moving. And here's the killer part. This happened to me once for real. And I talked to the lady years later. She said, Rufus, she said, I did everything in the world to tell you to talk to me. She said, remember that time I asked you, where do women find men at? I said, yeah, I remember that. She said, that was your cue. You just didn't take it. I said to myself, me and my dumb butt. But the stories I was telling my own self. I wasn't good enough. I didn't add up. So I learned the hard way.
Okay.
Anybody else want to jump in?
Well, what about on the other side, on the flip side of it? Because I come from the side of trauma and trauma recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So what about when you've gone through a lot of trauma and you are a people pleaser and you know that you're a people pleaser? So you are the one that's doing the over caring, over loving, over giving, and all of that. And then you keep hearing from the other side who sabotage relationships and they say it was too good to be true. Like when you go back and you ask, this was too good to be true. Never met anybody that just do, accommodate. So it scared me and it was too good to be true. So I think that's also a pattern that needs to be interrupted, which I personally have interrupted in the work that I do, to, you just identify when somebody else is going through some bouts of trauma and not try to love them into loving you, if you will.
Yes, that's unique. That's unique. And some people call it love bombing, where they just give you more love than you can handle. And they just blow themselves up just trying to please you. And they're hurt. They have some mental issues that they're going through. They're doing the best they can. They think if you're in trauma, you think that you're doing everything right. You think you're doing, matter of fact, you're struggling trying to do things right. You're actually using all your resources and time trying to find your place. Mm. And sometimes you feel if you hitch yourself up to the right person, that familiarity or that structure that they bring into your life, you'll be okay. We're really like Dr. Liz said, on the other side of the person said, oh, Jesus, he is a bit much. I'm looking for the exit door quickly. I can't take this. There's more love than I even signed up for. They're too serious. They're too structured or whatever for me. Really, the problem is, how do you solve that? Do you sit down and say, hey, look, let's talk this through? And if we can't talk this through, can we get a third person in here, a third party, or can we see a counselor or professional that we can sit down and work through this? Because I love you and I feel you love me, but right now, it's a roller coaster here. I can't negotiate this.
Right, because the healing hasn't taken place.
Right.
You know, if you're not healed, you can't see no better. You know,
Right.
you're still in the state in which that trauma happened or whatever. You can't get beyond it.
Did somebody want to say something? Pierre, did you want to say something? Because your mic lit up. Okay. And here's another thing. In the African American community, we don't seek professional help. We think this is the way it is. Being broken to us, being dysfunctional to us is everyday opportunity. That's the way we walk. That's our norm. If somebody else outside of our relationship don't ring the alarm or raise a red flag and help us out, we don't know. Mm-hmm. We've been doing with this ever since we were kids. We've carried this burden through grade school, through high school, through our college, through our early marriages, through our early relationships, and we're old people now, broken. In our 50s, 60s. Help me change. What are some of the things we can do? Because I hate to bring a problem up and don't have a solution.
Right. Well, you already mentioned.
You want to share how that's addressed?
What did you say, Mr. Carpenter?
Dr. Liz, you want to share how some of that stuff is addressed?
Yeah, some of it's addressed well, becoming aware, becoming aware of what the whole situation is, and then seeking help for it, whether it's coaching, like what you all are offering here, or whether it's going through therapy or what have you. But I think it's really addressing and taking care of yourself, making sure that you are in the most healthy space. And if you're not, then seeking help for it and not feeling shame because you just, because it's no shame in getting help. And I think that's one of the things, like you said, in our community, we're taught to keep everything in, keep everything at home, keep everything behind the closed doors. And you keep doing that and you just stay sick. So I think self-care is the major. Awareness is huge. And there are more platforms like what you're offering here today, getting involved. Isolation is really kryptonite. When you keep yourself isolated, you only have your own self as your own frame of reference. So therefore, you're not getting any type of really resolve in the situation. And then also understanding that we all work by self-determination. So you can't love somebody into loving you. You can't, you know what I'm saying? And you must also love yourself.
Correct. Thank you for that. Linda, you were going to say something?
No, I'm good.
Okay, anybody else want to comment on that? Okay, the last piece I want to say on that. In trauma and in your past, it's not your fault. It happened to you. Sometimes it don't happen for you, it happened to you. It's not your fault, but the recovery is your responsibility. The recovery is your responsibility. If you keep seeing the same patterns and keep getting the same results, you've got to say, I need help. You got to raise a flag for yourself and say, hey, maybe the constant in this is me. I might need to get the help. So recovery is your responsibility, okay? Let's move to the second one, Glenda.
All right, our second example for tonight is hyper-independent heart. Hyper-independent heart. After years of holding down everything on her own, Denise couldn't bring herself to lean on her partner. She smiled through tears, doing everything alone to avoid appearing needy. Her man kept asking, why won't you let me in? But she didn't know how. She never saw that model for her.
Ooh. I'm gonna say ooh on that one. I'm just gonna say ooh. Any comments before we go any further? Any comments on this one?
Yes,
Go ahead, sir. How you doing?
I am well, thank you. Uh, I would like to say that this hyper independence is it's not a personal thing. It's a social uh, and a spiritual issue
Mm.
uh, because we've been told that in the last days, you know, we would become lovers of ourselves, and what does that mean? That means that only we matter. The others don't matter so much. So if you don't need them, they can't be that important,
Mhm.
and that we could do everything that we need uh, for ourselves, by ourselves. We don't need anyone. That's the attitude.
Mhm.
And then another face of that same coin, you hear a lot of people say, I don't care, but in a much more vulgar manner,
Mhm.
and that's the general attitude. If you need someone, you're weak. That's the other belief.
Okay. Any additional comments before we jump in?
I would say something like the person or people you have lived life and you have depended on yourself to make things happen.
Mhm.
So you trust in your own self to make things happen. Maybe you have had letdowns from someone else who you thought could help you make this happen, and at that particular time or need, it wasn't there. So you've grown to depend on just you to
Right.
make whatever needs to be. And you would love to let go the rein, but you can't because you have that feeling that they're not going to come through for you. You're going to
Right.
just be left out there. So that's a hard thing to get over. Um, I don't know how a person would gain your trust. And I don't think they can gain your trust to do that. I think you would have to just submit to say, I'm going to take a chance this time. And that's a hard thing to do. Okay.
Very hard. Very hard.
Anybody else want to jump in? Okay. Okay, you guys are right on with this one. You guys right on. It's religious, it's society, it's the last days, and it's cultural.
Mm.
It's
Yes.
cultural, very much so. It's cultural. And I say, ooh, when I first heard it, because the first thing came to my mind, strong black woman syndrome. That's the first thing came to my mind. I said, I can't say that. Let me shut my mouth. But I have to say that because 78% of African American kids are being raised in a single parent home. And a
Mhm.
large percentage of those single parents are women, are head of those households. And if the woman you're head of the household, you really have to depend on you.
Right.
And you might not only do you have to depend on you, and I got to say this, and I apologize for even say it, and I really don't want to say it, but I got to make it plain. If
Okay.
you're a single mom raising some children by yourself, you don't want no bullshit from the society. You need to get it done. You can't chance it.
Right.
A lot of people won't let you in. A lot of people are hyper independent because that's the only thing they know. It's got to be about self.
Mhm.
Because if it's not, you may get took. And if your kids, I remember back in the day when a lady would be a house, so she'd be the single parent in the household, and she'd be getting social assistance or welfare, as some people call it, and she would use some of that money to put money on her boyfriend. She would buy clothes for her boyfriend with some of that money, and you'd be saying, "Wait a minute." As a dude, how can he even accept that? He's taking food out of this lady's children's mouth.
Right.
So a lot of stuff we've seen coming up that needed to change. And I hope now it's changed. I hope it's changed today. Because it's so much now that's going on. How do you change that? How do you let somebody in? How do you be vulnerable? You know, are you taking a chance that you shouldn't take? Or are you taking a chance that you should take? You know, what is it? I guess the runway in the time you meet somebody to the time you let your guard down and be in, this person have a genuine connection, relationship, you have to see the red flags. You have to make sure that you have your, what they call picker. You got to make sure you're picking right. You got to make sure that you've set your boundaries. You did a self-care. You know, you've given it the right amount of time. You looked at the clues. If you don't, you're setting yourself up for failure. You know, the day with all these modern relationships, you got modern relationships now where anything goes. Anything and everything goes. If a person's big and bad enough to do what they want to do, they do it.
Correct.
And if you're not careful, you can get swept away into that. All right, I'm talking too much. All right, it's somebody else. Somebody else talk.
You know, I wanted to say you have to look, we have to look at the maturity in our partner. We have to decide, is this partner reliable? And like you say, your picker, you got to have your picker right for this, because we do need to release and let someone else help us when we need help. We have to be able to open our mouths to say we need help, and that we're trusting and believing in for that help. I think that, you know, we can't make somebody do something. If somebody tell us they're going to do something and we believe in them, we should believe in them. However, they only get one chance. You know, if you go past that one chance and it was wrong, they need to get the full force of you, and they need to understand you're not going to never get this chance anymore. And they will beg to give you the opportunity to say, let me try again. You know, we have to, as you say, I think you're right. We have to have our picker right.
Okay. Awesome. Any more comments?
I will agree with Annette. Because I would consider myself a few years ago a hyper independent female. And I mean, I would ask for help, you know, just to see if they would help. And it's like they never came through. And it was things I asked for help for, things that I knew that they could do, that I didn't mind flipping the bill for. I just needed you to do the labor part of the work, and they never came through. And when I had someone else do the work or do the job, they would say, well, Glenda, I thought you was, I said, yeah, but a whole year has passed and you never came through. How long do I need to wait? So I can understand that, but I know that my current relationship that I'm in now, the gentleman, he blows my mind almost every day, because he's a self-initiator. He does everything without being asked. I saw him sweep the floor. I seen him wash dishes, take trash out. And I'm like, wow. I mean, outside of my husband, and that was through marriage, I've never seen a man sweep a floor that I've dated. He never volunteered to wash a dish. They felt like I was supposed to be their servant. You know, when I cooked dinner, they never washed dishes. They didn't feel like they had to bring the groceries in for the food that I cooked or anything. So the guy that I'm currently dating, you know, when he does little small things, I'm like, oh my gosh, really? And it was me being vulnerable and taking a chance. And even when I ask him things today, you know, I get a response immediately. I'm not talking like in a couple of days. I'm talking that day. If I say I need something done, he's looking to make sure it gets done within that day. And sometimes I have to tell him, no, not today, maybe in the next couple of days. I mean, we don't have to do it today. So it's amazing. But I did have to take a chance, because my history was I was always constantly being let down by men when, pertaining to this scenario. I was always being let down. They would never come through for me when I asked them to do things for me. Does anybody else have any comments or would like to share something from their past that is similar to this example?
Okay.
I've been in a situation where I have been dependent on my partner, and my partner has assured me over and over, and I was like that stupo. I don't know, it took a long time before I just decided to say, hell no, this is enough,
Right.
because I believe, and they were so convincing that, okay, I'm sorry this time, but the next time I'm coming through. And me wanting to believe, wanting to give trust to them, wanting and hoping, I believed in it. And there I was again, let down again, until I got to the point where I said, no, 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 no. You're not letting me down anymore, and you're not going to be here anymore. This is,
Right.
so I got to handle this. So
Right.
it does make a difference.
It does. It makes a
Mhm.
huge difference.
But I am not where I'm not trustworthy now. I will trust and believe in what you say, but I only give you one chance because I pay attention now. It's like the blinders are gone, and it's not because someone else has did me this way. It's just because I have relied on me, and now I need to. It's like what is it? The Missouri State put up or shut up. You got to show me or something.
Yeah, show me
Show,
state.
show me state. Show me.
Right.
Convince me. So that's it.
Right. I agree.
Okay.
You harder than me because I say I don't count past two. You say you don't count past one.
No, one's enough for me. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, let's move to the next one, please.
Okay, the next example, unworthy of love. Kira couldn't shake the voice of her childhood that told her she wasn't good enough. So when someone loved her openly, she felt suspicious. She kept questioning their motives until they finally left, confirming the story she had told herself all along. That seems like a trauma.
Okay.
She was traumatized.
And this is what I mean when I said those secret problems we have, those secret opportunities. That's what this one is. This is something that she held within her. Anybody want to comment on this one? Anybody want to share? Anybody seen examples of this in our community?
I want to say something. It's not like a love thing, but not good enough. I grew up in a household with a lot of brothers. And my brothers, I grew up as a tomboy. But my brothers didn't particularly care that their sister would try to tag along or try to do things with them or be a part of their whatever. But they had a sister that wasn't no girly girl. They had a sister that was a tomboy that wanted to hang and be with them. So they said things out of their mouths to me to make it so that I could get away from them. Don't be around me. Don't hang with me. I need you to do this. So they said things, and the things they said weren't beautiful, nice things. They were things that I held in my heart for a long time in my life, not as a kid, but as an adult woman.
Mm.
It took a long time for me to get over some of those words that were said. So we have to be mindful of what a person gets in their heart or what they heard or what they say. I've heard people say before, like when you have a boy or have a girl or something, you have your children, to tell your children they're beautiful. Let them know when they're coming up, when they're growing. You're a beautiful person. You're this, you don't wait to get out in the street or in public as an adult or whatever to hear the things that you should have heard at home to help you, because when you're out there, you can be manipulated by what a person say to you or how they say things to you. So with this person growing up, with me growing up, the words that was said to me in my heart from people, I'm a person where I listen to what you say and I pay attention to exactly what you say. We're not all the same. We're all very different, but that's my makeup. And in my makeup, when you give me and say all these kind of negative things to me, and there's no one on the other side saying something different, when I grew up as a kid, what was there for me to know other than what they were saying? I believed in what they said. I operated inside myself based on what they said. So that was a negative. So I can understand this in this scenario. you know, what this person is going through or have gone through. I get that. But it takes a strong person. I mean, I changed it to the point where it don't matter what you say. You know, I know me, it don't matter. But everybody is not in that position.
Right.
So we need to be aware on what we do and how we say things to our younger people coming up, because we don't know what they will hold to heart, you know?
Right.
So that's it.
He said life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Yes, yes, I totally agree with the sister. Um, I would like to remind us that though her brothers used unfavorable language towards her, uh, they were sadly being used by the evil one. Okay, you know, because and once again, any battle that we have, it is not against flesh and blood. Okay, it is spiritual, and I think that all the troubles that we find ourselves in is because we also failed. Okay, so sure, it's easy to tell another individual, oh, I can't count on you. So I don't trust you. I don't like how you spoke with me. And then, but what did we do? You know, because we are as responsible. Okay, so it's two ways. Everything is two ways. You know, because you know, I can tell you, I was raised in a great home. I was raised to be very respectful. I was shy, you know, and in school, also, I had an accent as a child. You know, I still do, but uh, but they took that as being foreign, as being weak, as being of another kind. You know, and if you spoke softly, you're a punk. It's I never believed any of that, you know, because I know why I didn't speak the way they did, and actually I liked it, you know, but I know what came out of their mouths. I know what they thought about me, and so I could have uh, showed them how wrong they were, or or I excused them for not knowing any better.
Mhm.
I know there are a lot of choices. There are many different ways in which we can approach uh, issues. Okay, and I'm seeing that the popular way at this time is that if it doesn't go your way, crush them, and that's the attitude.
You guys have had some great responses, and that's awesome. That's awesome. Our demographic and our audience on this line age fluctuates somewhere between 40 and 70 years old. I'm saying that to say this. A lot of what we had as coming up as children was a culture against us, was a society against us. When a gentleman said that we don't fight flesh and blood, he's correct. It was against us, and we were made to look at ourselves as being less than. We were made to feel inferior. So all of this crossing anything we did, television shows showed us where we saw actors that we thought were famous people who portrayed a lower class person. They put the woman in a role, put the woman in a lesser role. So it's kind of difficult for us to say that, hey, our childhood was great. A lot of things that we experienced as a child didn't just happen for us or to us. It was everything we saw. It was a culture against us, pretty much. So we came through it now today because of situations like Sunday Night at 9 and other programs in the community and sisterhoods and groups. Now we can change some of this. We can shake some of this off. We can now be realistic with going to church, your ministers, your clergy and people. There's so much now that we have that we can recognize these things. We can identify what's right and what's wrong now. We can do self-study. There's so many ways that we can get beyond that. We don't have to continue in that cycle anymore. We can break that cycle. And that's what the night is about. How do we break that cycle of self-sabotage? You know, we're creating our own headaches in our relationships. Where relationships should be a chance where you and a person can connect on a deeper level. And you guys can share that journey forward, because our goal is to get in. Our goal is to get into heaven. That's the goal. I mean, I'm just saying, in here, in this, we all different religions, but for the most part, our goal is to get in, whatever that looks like to you. So,
Well, can I?
go ahead, Sharon.
Yes, yeah. What I wanted to say was, that everything you said just now was so true, Rufus. We were made to look at ourselves as less than, but until we really know ourselves and fix what, instead of being in denial, saying, "Oh, that's not me," or "I'm not like that." You got to be honest with yourself before you can even display the role of being different. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's
You said it right.
okay, it's like I talk with people, I'm a talkative person and I conversate with a lot of different people. And it's like until you can actually admit to yourself your defaults or try to change your behavior, you cannot actually sit there and teach something that to anyone. I feel like if you're not, your words are totally different out in public than what you really display. You know, that's how I feel. So it's like, so that just tells me a person do know their self, but for some reason they can't admit who they are or take a look at their behavior and their part in it to try to change. That's what I want.
How you show up is so important. How you show up in a situation is so important. Any more comments on this one before we go to number 4? Any comments before we go to number 4? Okay, number 4, please, Glenda.
Okay, we have our fourth example, pushing him away to stay safe. Tasha had been hurt before, so when vulnerability crept in, she pulled back, stopped responding to texts, and ghosted him. Not because she didn't care, but because it was the only way she knew how to protect herself from repeating the past.
Okay. Read it one more time, please, for me.
All right. Tasha had been hurt before, so when vulnerability crept in, she pulled back, stopped responding to text, and ghosted him. Not because she didn't care, but because it was the only way she knew how to protect herself from repeating the past.
Ooh, this is about a 3 or 4 step one. This is not a 1-stepper. This is about a 3 or 4 stepper on this one. So we can either break down in parts or we can deal with the whole. Any comments on this out the gate? Any comments on this one?
I have one.
Wait, one at a time. Gigi first, and then Sharon, and you can go second. Go ahead, Gigi.
I'm guilty of this. More or less because of the failed marriage that I had. But my problem is I just kind of stopped talking to him in the past, and once you've been hurt, you don't want to be hurt anymore. You don't necessarily want them to do anything to cause you to think that they're going to hurt you. You want the relationship to succeed, but you don't know how. If you can understand that.
Mm-hmm. Anybody want to share? Go ahead.
Yes,
go ahead,
I'd like to add. Yes, once you've been hurt a certain way, you don't want to be hurt again. But then there was also the possibility that since that is all you know, that's all you seek.
Ooh.
Okay.
That's what you're familiar with. So that's what you only know.
That's right.
So you can only rise above, you can't rise above that spot.
Yep.
Any more comments or any other? Because Gigi said some important stuff there.
Well, I'm kind of listening, and I'm kind of, even with Gigi, and I listen, and I'm not quite so sure. I'm thinking they're not even, you want to give it a chance, but you're not even giving it a chance. You're afraid to give it a chance. Is that what I'm hearing, Gigi? I don't really know.
Yes, that is it.
Okay.
Now, Gigi, one question, Gigi, and not questioning you, but I just want to keep it in tune with the example here. Because the example said when she began to care, when she began to get vulnerable, when she felt herself caring, that's when she clammed up. That's when she pulled back. That's when she stopped. Is it because when she felt herself caring, when she was ready to give in, that's when she stopped. Were your situations similar to that, or you didn't even get that far?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Very similar.
Yeah. And reason why I said that, because it's not the other person, it's you. I mean, not saying you, Gigi, but I'm talking about in this scenario, you're the person. Once again, this is really self-sabotage. And you're creating your own headache, because now you've got to start all over again with somebody else. And you got to go through the same cycle again. And the cycle repeats itself. So you create headaches for yourself. So this is something that when you ghost a person, and then if the person really loved you and really cared about you, a lot of them, they're not just going to go away. They're not just going to say, oh, well, that didn't work. They're going to still try to pursue. And then when they try to pursue, they're going to make you go some more? Or is will you circle back around and have a conversation with them? Or you really ghost them now?
In times past, I did. But I changed.
Yeah. And I on this one, I've had some. Been similar to what you're saying, Gigi. In this one, I've had a point where I've let it creep in, and I said it's too good to be true, and I didn't ghost or run away, but I kept playing small. That's what I think when we first started this, I think Dr. Liz said that the person became an overgiver and overlover and stuff like that. That was the way I kind of coped with it. I kind of gave more of myself and try to be an overlover. I try to love more, and thinking that my loving more gonna get me over the hump, gonna get me past my own problems. Where really, I was masking my problem. I wasn't getting any better. I was just masking it a little better. So my partner felt that everything was okay, felt that, oh man, this guy's really loving me now for real. And I was scared to death. I was really walking on eggshells. And what took me to get out of that is I just couldn't keep it up no more. I just got to the point I was just burnt out. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't have anything else to give. So no matter what I did, the relationship still went the way they went. So I just gave up. I just said, well, hey, look, I'm just gonna be who I am. Now I took a break from being in a relationship for a while. You know, I ghost everybody and myself too. And when I came back out, I kind of looked at it a little differently. And then that matter of fact, that's what helped me to become a coach. I went and got some help. And then I said, oh, wow, ooh, these were the things that I didn't do. These were the things I did wrong. Check this box, check that box. And that's what helped me become a coach, because I didn't realize that it was actual steps and it was actually ways you could heal. There was actually procedures, there was actually assessments, there was actually tools that you could get better. So, and it was amazing. It was amazing. As a matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why this Sunday night at 9 is in play right now, because of Glenda's background, and me and her teamed up, and we saw the need. You know, I'm not going to tell her background, but my background was kind of rough. So that's how we got here today. All right, any more about this one? Because this is number 4, correct?
Correct.
How much more time we got left? We've got about 5 or 10 minutes left. Anything you want to do, Glenda, before I ask some questions? I want to ask some questions, if you don't mind.
You can go ahead.
A couple questions I want to ask, and anybody can answer them, or you can put them in the chat. You don't have to ask. You don't have to answer them. You don't have to answer them out loud. You can just put it in chat. If you want to answer them, please feel free. Now, the first question: have you ever left someone who you actually love just because you didn't believe that they were for real? Once again, the question is: have you ever left someone who you actually loved, or they actually loved you, because you didn't believe it could be real? And you put it in the chat, or somebody want to answer out. Glenda, you can read the chat if anybody got a chat. The question is, have you ever left someone who actually loved you?
Karen says yes.
Okay, you don't have to say who said it. Say yes, because
you got a couple of responses in the chat.
we don't want to put anybody on the spot
Okay.
because you didn't think it was real. And I can put a yes in there too, because sometimes, and when you don't look at the other person, sometimes you look at yourself. This is when you start focusing on yourself more than you focus on the other person. And this is when communication is so important in relationships. This is when you got to sit down and communicate. And we got a tool called Start, Stop, and Continue. And that tool is a great way to see where you stand in your relationship. And the tool is Start, Stop, and Continue. And at night, I'm not going to talk about it at night. That's a tool we have. Okay? All right. Now, next question. Next question. Ready for the next question, number 2. Once again, you can answer or you can put it in the chat. Okay? What fear do you carry that might be quietly shaping how you show up in your relationships? What fear do you carry that might be quietly shaping how you show up in relationships? In other words, what's inside making you show up a certain way in your relationships? What secret fear that you're carrying? And the reason why I say that, a lot of us, we focus on what we fear more than we focus on what we want. We could be wanting a great love, but we focus on who's gonna hurt our feelings, who ain't gonna love us. And that's why that question was there. Anything in the chat? Don't tell me the name. Anything in the chat?
No. Oh, wait a minute.
Abandonment. I see that one. Okay, true. That's a good one. All right, number 3. Number 3. Once again, you don't have to answer it out loud. You can put it in the chat, or if you want to answer out loud, please jump in there. Okay. Do you trust that you are lovable? Even when you're not being strong? In your weakest moment, do you trust that you're lovable when you're not strong?
Oh, can I speak on that one real quick?
Yes, please.
Okay. You know what? Now I can understand that question, but I wasn't directing it at me. I was directing it if I had a partner or just in a regular friendship or whatever. If they don't feel like they're lovable because they're not displaying that love that they can display towards the other person or whatever the situation may be, then no, then they should realize they're not lovable, because it goes both ways. You know, they feel like they always the victim or whatever. No. Who's gonna love that?
Okay. Well stated. Any comments on that, or any comments on the question before I go to our last question of the night? Okay. Last question of the night. And this is a good one. What story from your past might be repeating itself in your love today? What story from your past that might be repeating itself in your love today? In other words, the stories in your mind. What stories in your mind that's repeating themselves right now in your love? And once again, you can answer it out loud or you can put it in the chat. What stories from your past might be repeating itself in how you love today?
Trying to be responsible for both parties instead of that person taking their own responsibility for their behavior and their actions. You know.
You're right. And I find ladies do that a lot. I find ladies
Yes.
will really sacrifice themselves for the relationship. They will be everything to everybody. They will actually dummy themselves down. They will actually work to fingers to the bone. They will get up before you and stay up after you. I find that happening out a lot. And I don't know. I can't say if that's good or bad because I'm not going to say that because to each his own. But Sharon is right. Sometimes you can only do your part. A relationship is a partnership. A relationship is a partnership. You both have half responsibility for the relationship. You both have to uphold your end. And you both have to have self-love. You gotta have self-care. You got to be able to grow without that person. You got to be able to, even with that person, you got to give each other space.
Oh, yes.
There's so much because if I can't help me, how can I help you?
Amen.
I think when I worked with Dr. Liz, she taught me something. How can you pour from empty cup? And when she told me that, what the heck she talking about? This was years ago. That's true. How can you pour from an empty cup? When I was green and learning, she taught me that. How can you pour from an empty cup? So that's so true. Yes, sir.
I agree. If your cup is empty, you can share. However, I think that there are a lot of blessings from helping other people.
You ain't got nothing. How can you help somebody else?
That's true.
In many, many, many ways.
Okay.
Okay. It's not just about being materialistic. You know, it's
Sharon,
not about
Sharon, let them talk first, Sharon. Then you come in afterwards. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's not about always having and always handing out. It's not about that. There are many, many ways in which we can help and we can support each other. It's not always about material things, and that's the problem now. Material things rule. Yeah, and that's sad.
Okay, you finished, sir? You finished, sir? So we turn over to Sharon?
Yes.
Okay, Sharon. What are you saying now, Sharon? Sharon, your mic's not open, Sharon. Unmute, Sharon. Well, I guess she's okay. All right, we're about ready to turn this over to Glenda. Anybody want to say anything before we turn this over to Glenda? Anybody want to say anything? Anybody have anything to share before we turn this over to Glenda? Because we're going to close this out. Anybody got any last minute comments or anything they want to share to the group? Okay, if not, Glenda?
All right.
I'm sorry. Sharon just told me to tell you that her phone has died.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was wondering because I could tell she was fumbling. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we reserve hers to next week. If you want to finish it up next week, she can. All right. Go ahead, Glenda.
All right. Thank you so much. Kings and queens, on tonight, we can heal what we don't name. Self-sabotage doesn't always look loud. It can show up in the silence, the withdrawal, the excuses we make when love starts to feel too close. But the truth is, we weren't created to walk this life alone. You are worthy of a love that sees all of you and stays. And sometimes the bravest thing we can do is not to walk away, but to stay open, to say, yes, I've been hurt, but I believe in healing more than I believe in fear. Tonight, let's agree to stop being our own heartbreak. Let's choose freedom. Let's choose love. Thank you for joining us tonight on Sunday night at 9. We look forward to seeing you next week.
20 days before our conference, 20 days before our workshop.
Thank you.
20 days before our
Good
workshop.
night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.